And what people seem to realize is that their job is to, right?
What is the job of the sales rep? Like, if you're a sales rep still watching this, this is the one thing that you need to hear and understand. It's the most important part of your job. Welcome back to another edition of Outbound Fluff No Sales. This one's going to be a little bit fluffier for y'all because we're just going to rant about what we wish every founder and head of sales knew. This comes from working with our clients, as well as just our experience being in outbound sales for as long as we've been in, collectively closer to 30 years. If you enjoy this episode, hit subscribe. If you hate it, let us know in the comment section below. As always, I'm Ronen Pessar. This is Ryan Reisert, and we are the Outbound operators. Let's dive right in.
So this is super fucking interesting because, again, the future of sales, a lot of people think it's about the product that you have to offer, but the proliferation of technology and capital for that matter. I mean, Factify just raised $73 million on a seed round. Money's coming in. The ability to create tech is going to be so fast and so easy that like the only thing you can do to differentiate yourself in the market is to learn how to actually go out and acquire customers, right? Because anyone can replicate anything like that. You just built this thing in 45 minutes. This is incredible, and you did it without having to do WYSIWYG editors and all that shit. This actually looks better than anything else we've put out there. This is what's kind of exciting about AI and the future of technology, but it's also what's super scary for any SaaS founder or AI company that thinks that they're going to be the shit because they have something, because something can replicate it tomorrow. So what's going to differentiate you? How are you going to get to market and capture enterprise value? You have to help with selection and you have to help with implementation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I
That's
just want
it.
to point out,
That's
like,
it.
so Ryan and I were just going over this website that I'm upgrading, and he was like, "Just hit record. Let's just talk about it." Selection, implementation. So if you don't know what that means, like Ryan has a quote. He quotes someone else: "Stay above the API." So what does that mean? Stay above the API. In today's day and age, especially with the rate of where AI is going, and I'm seeing this because I run our disco, so I get all the calls. 80% of the companies I'm talking to now in the last 90 days, 80% of them are an AI for fill in the blank. It's overwhelming. There's a tsunami coming. It's coming. It's not slowing down. There's a tsunami coming. Every single industry, every niche within an industry has an AI solution or 100 being built right now, already built like this overnight. So what is the differentiator in the market? How can anyone even compete? If you're watching this, you're a founder, you're an investor. Heidi and I were talking about this earlier also, that we're probably going to, quadruple down on the VC and the PE path.
Well,
But that's
the
for another day, perhaps.
the scariest part about it is if you really take that conversation further, it's getting so easy that the AI it's like, why would I even use a third party when I can just build it myself? Like, hey, thanks for the idea. I didn't know that existed. Let me just go develop it. And it's going to become buy versus build, which has always been the situation. I always look back, when I started my sales career in 2008, just creating a website was still like a good website was like $1 million project for people. So again, that's why this is so interesting, because it's like 20 years ago, was 18 years ago, whatever that might be. A website, if you wanted a legitimate website, might be $1 million. And it was starting to get down where you could get one for a few $100,000, or maybe you could squeeze something out for like less than six figures. But
yeah, what you're talking about, people like to call it the democratization of an industry, or democratization, which is like this fancy word for just like shit becomes cheaper, moves faster. It's easier for other people to get their hands on it.
yeah, I mean, that happens as things innovate, it gets cheaper and then margins get crushed, and then Me Too's are easy to replicate. And I've always seen this happening, right? So I started back then when websites were hard to create, and we did digital marketing. And so like most of the websites were dog shit. And then you start to see the innovation inside of ad tech, which back then there was maybe like 500 ad tech companies. If you go look at the Lumascape for ad tech, MarTech now, it's like 20,000 companies, and they're all kind of doing the same shit, right? But let me get a pixel on your website back then was very difficult to do. Then like tag managers came up and you could put one tag on the site, goes all over the place. Where I'm trying to get at is every industry is always going to get disrupted with this proliferation of the like technology is easier to build, capital's coming in, and so how do you differentiate yourself? Well, you have to have speed to market, and you
Well,
know
well,
people.
it's more than that, Ryan. It's more than speed to market. If you don't have speed to market, someone else will beat you. It's actually, I think it's especially with the rate of product development with AI now. Like I made that website in like 2 45-minute sessions, something like that. Lovable. It's incredible. I've never used the tool before, ever. And I'm not your sharpest tool in the shed, but I'm not the dumbest guy out there either. I figured this out. Look at how smooth this looks. And it's like it's to the T. It's like actually really solid. Now, if I could just talk to AI and it does that, and by the way, you can use Lovable to make a product too. We could we can make something if we wanted to. So if the competitive advantage, the moat, is no longer your product, then what the hell is it?
Well, it's your ability to identify problems and create a solution, and then get in front of people who have that problem and don't want to take the time to fix it themselves. That's always been the idea, but you have to get there fast, and then you have to be able to
Moves.
implement it for them
Yeah.
so they don't think they want to do it themselves. That's implementation, right? So selection, implementation. I think these AI companies are also in for a rude awakening because again, there's going to be if you're not fast enough to acquire them now, they're going to learn that well, I could just build this myself. And so once you're in, and assuming it's solving a big enough problem and it's sticky, you're in. But like the services on top of that are super important. Um, in at least in SaaS, in terms of tech services, the differences between long-term retained clients and those that churn are typically the ones that actually have someone on the ready to fix problems, provide ideas and ways to maximize the use of the software. If you look at most of these, even tech tools that we use, no one uses all of their capabilities. It's like 30,
Mm-hmm.
40% of their capabilities. I mean,
I
we
was thinking
use,
about that earlier today, Ryan, with our own clients. Like, how many of them use 100% of what we are deploying for them? It's none. It's none of that. But if we had when we have clients who are even deploying 60 to 80% of what we're guiding them on, the just look at the headlines. Factify raises $73 million. Like it, it becomes your competitive advantage to be able to actually reach your market, talk to the people who you can ever get a hold of, and figure out yes, no, not me, not now. Have a system that compounds, which is outbound compounds over time, and a system that like you can just get back into and do your follow-ups without ever having to remember a thing. You just go right back into it. It tells you what's due today. You work that over and over and over the course of a few months to a few quarters. You're going to reach your entire market, classify where they all are, and in those follow-up conversations, start to actually talk to the people who have now already heard from you a few times before your competitor has even been able to reach them once. And like that's the whole concept that we're deploying. The whole idea behind being able to actually focus on your reachable market and getting after it efficiently, it's almost no longer an option because everyone's trying the same thing that most founders are trying early stage. AI spam emails. I have this guy in my DMs telling me his AI cold caller works. So yeah, it's amazing. I'm like, it's illegal. He's like, no, it's not illegal. I'm like, yeah, it is illegal. but you keep doing you, buddy. Like it's like LinkedIn automation. LinkedIn does not like that. Microsoft does not like it when you touch their data, when you automate spam. Like you're really just gonna when everyone else is going left, you're gonna go follow them left, or do you want to go take a right? You gotta stay above the API. I love that line. Otherwise, we're just gonna get to a point where it's clanker selling to clankers, it's bot selling to bots.
yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how this all evolves. The idea the idea that like your product or service is going to like help you win is no longer like it has to be good. That's table stakes, but like As soon as someone gets a little bit of traction, it's so easy to replicate. And if you're not doing the things to get in front of your market, someone else is going to very quickly. And yeah, it's incredible. It's incredible to see. The idea now just becomes who out there is willing to actually put their self out there and not wait for things to come to them, making excuses to not
Mm.
like do the work. That's the challenging part. I don't know how much easier we can make it to tee up. Here's the people you can talk to if you call them, and the resistance that occurs even after someone's done the work to say, hey, they're interested in talking more. You just have to call them, do the
Yeah,
Ronin thing.
the two
You
biggest
just have
things
to
that
you have to call them. I gotta start bringing that.
boop, 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 boop. Or sorry, should we do rotary?
Yeah.
I think the two biggest gaps in our clients' execution is the stuff that a lot of companies struggle with. The first one is your list building process. Are you good at identifying targeting accounts, selling to people, getting the right accounts, the right people? Most organizations still defer this decision to the lowest paid employee in the organization and the least trained employee in the organization, your SDR. That is a huge mistake. It's the most important decision in outbound. The second area that's usually a gap is sales execution and process from qualified opportunity to close. Now, this one's a bit more complex because, as anyone who's in the sales world knows, there's various methodologies and approaches, but the bottom line, the most simple thing that we see is I'd say like the range is somewhere between 60 to 80% of sales reps just don't do the basics. Follow up. It's mind-boggling when you pull back the cover and you look at what's actually going on. We have a client where Ryan was looking at some of the history of opportunities in a mid to late stage with no follow up for months. It's like if we started this opportunity with a conversation on the phone and your prospect isn't responding to your emails, then pick up the phone and continue. Get to that yes or no. Are we moving forward, or is it a not now or not never? Force the decision, but do the follow up. And it's like that basic level of stuff. It feels like we've almost hit extinction for the hunter, the sales rep who actually goes and pursues a deal when there's an opportunity to be had, properly working it. And instead, the hunter has been replaced by order takers and farmers, people who just want everything to come to them. And I don't know. I mean, here I'm just, offering my opinion that a lot of it just probably comes down to this like fear, this weird baseless fear of like, oh, I don't want to bother them on the phone. Like, what if I call them and they're in the middle of something? It's like, what are you talking about? Like, if this is your job, So the sales part at the bottom of the funnel, the list part at the top, in between, we could build the most beautiful, perfect engine that'll hum smoothly. But if you think of the list as the fuel for a car and the actual like bottom of the funnel as the driver, we can build you the engine and the car. But if your driver cannot drive and the fuel is not good, how far is that going to go down the road?
Not very far. It's gonna crash and burn. The lack of focus on the sales front kind of buckets into two areas. I think the definition of opportunities in today's world is this
Fluff.
unnecessary idea of like BANT. It's a new version of that. They might not have used it, but like a budget, authority, need, and timeline. And what people seem to realize is that their job is to identify the timeline, right? So timing, identify the timeline and begin to work it. Need, that's your job to obviously identify the gap and show it to them, right? You're here, you may not like you have a status quo. We're getting the job done. We think we're good. Like there's no need. Well, like your company exists because there's a need and it's your job to identify it. Now, if there's legitimately no need because you're a Me Too copycat, that's fine. That's okay. Authority. No one has authority these days. It's all committee. Like you're trying to develop champions. You're
Mm.
finding a person who actually wants to put their neck out there to accelerate their career because they care about the company they work for and they're willing to actually bring in new things that can either save money, make money, reduce risk, all those basic things. And then budget. Like again, unless you're selling to publicly traded companies that are very, very well funded companies that legitimately budget every single line item. Um, no one has the budget for what you do if you're bringing something new in, right? Like
Bingo.
you're gonna hit a wall of selling into the install base of your competitor, which is going to be, again, going back to timing. If you're thinking about budget, again, you have to find the budget. You create the budget through this process. You create it. If you're trying to sell to people via outbound with those types of I- ideas in mind, you can call whatever you want, but they're like, they don't have money. It's like, well, you create money, right? That's what you're designed to do. I was just on a call with a partner reached out because we just moved to Google Cloud Platform for Call Blitz, and so Google reaches out, and I had a call with their salesperson, which was very scripted. You could tell she was like reading AI as the conversation was going. It's really really interesting. Nice lady. But at the end of it, she's asking about budget, like how much money you put into marketing. It's like, oh, I don't put much. We're bootstrapped. It's all organic now, and
We're
um,
broke.
I do pay for a marketer, and I would invest in things, assuming the CAC makes sense, right? And she's like, okay, so you're assuming if the ROI is there, there would be money. I was like, well, yeah, no shit. If you can show me something that acquires me a customer for less money than what it costs to deliver, and our selling price, then all that margin is going to get reinvested in growth. That's how a business works. So you need to go sell into that concept. Now, if it's not a direct revenue driving solution, then you also need to create a way to show that the cost savings justify it, or the security risks justify it, right? It's wild to me that this is still the conversation we have every single day.
Well, and
This
let's
person
actually
doesn't
bring
have
this back,
authority.
Ryan. Let's
Right.
bring this all the way back. So, what is the job of the sales rep? Like, this is the one thing that if you're a sales rep still watching this, this is the one thing that you need to hear and understand. It's the most important part of your job. So, what are you started the show by saying it? Like, what are the things that if you're a sales rep, this is your job?
You have two jobs if you want to stay above the API. You need to help with selection, and you have to be able to support implementation. If you can't do those two things, you're going to be replaced by a buy button tomorrow. Like,
That's right.
that's it. And so if you're working for a company where you're not supporting selection, which is why you have to make the fucking calls and not have them come to you, you have to support with it. That's the whole point. And then when they come to you, if you're a seller and all you do is close the transaction and you're not the like success person, you're fucking done. Like, you have to be an expert. You have to be able to support the strategy, the use of what you're doing, the implementation side of things. Unfortunately, most of the people that are sitting in sales seats today aren't doing any of those. They're a closer. They're a high ticket closer. Just get me a lead and I'll close them. 100%.
100%. Well, this
Ronen, got any
show,
leads?
lots of leads. I'm not
Dude, if you
sharing.
could just get me in the room. If you can get me in the room.
This episode is a little bit of a different flavor. If you hated it, we'd love to know. If you loved it, we'd love to know. Hit subscribe, drop a comment down below. I'm Ronen Pessar. This is Ryan Reisert. We're the Outbound operators. I think we're going to bring back another episode of doing some reviews. So if you have some call examples from gurus that you love or hate, share them too. That one did really well. Check out that last episode. But as always, we appreciate you for tuning in, and we'll be back tomorrow.
Peace.